ever found yourself constantly trying to make everyone happy at the cost of your well-being, then this video is exactly for you. Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss something that resonates with most of us, and that is how to stop people pleasing, prioritizing ourselves, and setting effective boundaries. We will explore some practical strategies to reclaim your time, energy, and sanity by mastering the art of setting boundaries. So let's get started. So chapter 1, we need to understand why we do people pleasing, why we subconsciously or consciously are a people pleaser. So what is people pleasing? When you prioritize others' need over your need, and to that extent that it affects your mental health, it is something called people pleasing. It often comes from a sense to be liked, to be appreciated, to be accepted, or sometimes to even avoid conflicts. But it can leave you unfulfilled and unhappy at times. Signs of people pleasing are overcommitting than what you can. Like, even if you are unable to get to that party, or even if you are unable to take that project, or even if you are unable to help your friend, still you choose to say yes just to make him or her feel happy, and then mentally exhaust yourself or physically exhaust yourself. That is something called people pleasing, and it comes from overcommitment. Next is constantly apologizing. And thirdly, when you neglect your own needs and necessities. And recognizing these three signs is the first step to make any changes. So moving on to the next chapter, how to stop people pleasing. Now that we have talked what people pleasing exactly is, we will talk about few steps of how to stop people pleasing. First is stop predicting people's need. You don't need to anticipate what him or her needs even before they ask you to do so. You know, sometimes in your head you just assume that this person might need this, so I need to act accordingly. No, it's not the case. If they need something, they will ask you. Give them the opportunity to ask you rather than you assuming what they need. For example, if a friend asks you for a favor, respond based on how you feel at that moment rather than thinking what he or she might want from you. Number 2 is engage in authentic activities. Spend time doing things that instantly energizes you, and in the activities that you have genuinely interest to, whether it's content creation on YouTube or a new hobby. Engaging in activity that aligns with your true self will really help you to build that self-confidence, and it will reduce the urge to please others. Number 3 is practice self-validation. So don't seek for validation outside to other people. Feel confident in yourself, and you should be okay with your decisions, your outfits, everything regarding to you, and you should not rely on any other person for your decisions. Fourthly, track and reduce any unnecessary apologies. I've read this somewhere. The more we apologize, the more we lose the confidence. It's not always true. You need to apologize where you are exactly wrong. But sometimes we need to know that where we are apologizing without our mistake, it really hinders our self-confidence. And in that case, what you should do is, rather than apologizing, you need to be clear about your intention, that it might have hurt you, but it wasn't my intention, and do not apologize without your mistake. It really do affects how you think about yourself. Fifth, commit to non-negotiables. Having non-negotiables helps you to prioritize yourself and your needs, and it makes sure that you don't overextend yourself, which is really important. And number 6, setting boundaries, which will come on later in this video. Chapter number 3, we have already talked about setting boundaries and stuff, but what exactly are boundaries? How many types of boundaries are there, and what are different types of boundaries? We are going to talk it all in this section of the video. So to have boundaries, the concept seems very overwhelming until and unless we don't know how many types of boundaries are. Number first is physical boundary. Know what your comfort level are. So if you are someone who is not comfortable with hugging, or if you have someone in your office who comes too close to you, and someone who touches you in an inappropriate way, or that touch that makes you feel uncomfortable, speak for yourself. That is when you need to create a physical boundary, and you can do it in a very polite way. Hello, I think your hand's touching over here and I'm not really comfortable with that. Stuff like that. You can literally say anything, but I'm sure the other person will understand and will not repeat it once you say them. So the problem with us most of the time is that we don't encounter them. We don't speak to them that hello, I'm actually not comfortable with this, and we just assume that the other person should understand it, but they don't, because you don't speak about it. So it's always good to speak for yourself in terms of any boundary, and be out there and like literally just say them in a most polite way possible. And if they do repeat again and again, then of course you don't need to be polite, but for the first instant, speak very politely. Number 2 is sexual boundaries. Sexual boundaries relates to preference and limits regarding any sexual activity. So communication is the key. Whatever you are uncomfortable with, make sure that you tell it to your partner and you don't do something that you are really uncomfortable doing, and it can literally sometimes even ruin the relationship. Number 3 is emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries is something that how you allow the other person to interact with you emotionally. For instance, if somebody is disrespecting you and talking to you rudely, you should let them know that this behavior is unacceptable, and that's the boundary right over there. You cannot talk to me like that. And that's the emotional boundary for you. Number 4 is spiritual boundaries. This relates to your personal values and belief. If somebody is disrespecting or challenging your spiritual belief, it is important to stand firm and communicate your values with that person. Number 5th and utmost important is financial boundaries. So to know your financial limits and responsibility is utmost important. Whenever a friend or a cousin, anybody asks you for a financial help, and if that is some amount that you are not comfortable with, then you can of course convey your message with utmost respect to them. And I'll tell you what, somebody is making you feel guilty of asking your own money, that's not the right person to lend your money next time. Number 6 is time boundaries. Respecting your own time and energy is really crucial. If you are feeling that you are really overcommitted, it is really okay to say no to few commitments or few additional responsibility and have a little bit of your me time still intact with you, because overloading yourself with loads of different tasks is just gonna exhaust you mentally and physically, and you won't be able to bring your best to the table if you are overcommitted. And number 7 is non-negotiable boundaries. These are the boundaries that you're absolutely not willing to compromise on. For example, if you have some beliefs, values, or behavior that you won't tolerate at all, it's okay to stand firm for yourself. These were all the different types of boundaries that we need to have in our life. And number 4 is gonna be have to communicate those boundaries. Communicating boundaries is exceptionally important, and here's how you can do it. Number 1 is to be clear. Use language that is really clear to understand, and sometimes try to use that third party language so that the other person does not feel bad. In order to make that person not feel bad, you just go on and say things very unclearly. That's not okay. You should rather be clear and say that, hey listen, I'm not comfortable with this, or hey listen, you're intruding my personal space and I'm not okay with that. It is number 2 is be assertive but respectful. Really easy to do that, and it makes both of yours life very easier. It is really important to assert your needs, but also keeping in mind that you need to be respectful towards other person's need. So you can also say something like, oh, I really do understand your request, but at the moment I'm so sorry, I'm so busy right now that I cannot take this project, and if I'll take it, it is gonna end of the day physically exhaust me or mentally exhaust me. It is so easy to be assertive for yourself and be respectful to other person. Saying no to someone is not always disrespecting other person, it is respecting yourself first. Number 3 is use I statement. Using I statement will focus on your needs and your commitments. For example, you can say, oh, I'm so sorry, I am overwhelmed and I get stressed if I have too much things on my plate, or if I get physically exhausted, I get mentally exhausted. So use words like I to emphasize on your needs and your physical and mental capacity. Now, number 5, you have made boundary, you know what boundaries are, you made boundaries, you have committed your boundaries, and now you need to maintain your boundaries. Number first is stay firm. Now, once you have built the boundaries, you need to be firm on that. You need to stick to your own boundaries, sometimes even when it's uncomfortable, because that boundaries are for your well-being. Boundaries, especially in relationship, are really important. And first is with your partner. Communicate your needs and your personal preferences with your partner openly and effectively. I believe if he or she is your partner, you are going to be most comfortable to share your boundaries with them. Still, if you are struggling to, make sure to you have boundaries, that these are the things I'm not comfortable with, these are the things that really affects me mentally or physically, I need my alone time this or so and so week. And that is just gonna make your relationship more stronger. You are not gonna weaken your relationship, it is making your relationship stronger. You need to address some issues, because if your partner isn't respecting your boundaries, then you need to sit and have a conversation with him that so and so is not working out, and what measures can we take, because I'm really not okay with you doing this or that with me. Next is boundaries in friendship. I cannot emphasize of how important it is to have boundaries in friendship. I have seen so many friendship breaking just because they didn't had enough of boundaries. Please, almost the equation is same in every relation, that you need to first understand yourself, that what you are, and then you need to keep boundaries on things that you are not okay with, and that is going to preserve each and every relation of yours, be it with your partner, be it with your parents, be it with your friends. Because when you have boundaries, you are going to be eventually a happier person with those people. And if you don't have boundaries and you're constantly overstimulating yourself, or you are constantly overwhelmed with a task on your plate, it's just gonna exhaust you mentally and physically. So when you have boundaries in any relationship, it's just preserving you and your mental peace, and giving yourself utmost importance as much as you give others, and which is extremely important. Most important one out of all this is when you constantly find someone violating your boundaries, or else you constantly find someone not taking efforts towards what you are saying. If you're constantly saying someone that I'm not okay with it, and that person doing the same thing again and again, then you might need to rethink about your values, and you might need to rethink about your relationship with so and so person, and need to call out for that. It is really important for you as a person to build your aura, and if the other person does not understand it, and I don't believe personally then that it is a very healthy relation, that you are constantly communicating something with that person, that you are not okay with that, and the person doing the same thing again and again, and you're still into relationship with that person. So that relation can be any relation, friend, family, etc., but you need to rethink that. And yeah, that is it for today's video. I have spoke a lot like always. If you have liked this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and see other videos as well. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Till that time, take care, bye bye, see you. And I really want you people maintain boundaries and to make boundaries and to know yourself better after this video. So your homework is to know yourself better after this by journaling, and to know what boundaries you want to set next. Until that time, take care, bye bye, see ya.